Hi everyone, Tim here. So I had a question on my posting about what are stances for, and wouldn't it be better to just do everything in a fighting stance? So I want to talk about that. The only stance that I know of that wouldn't be a fighting stance is the hanging out at the bar after training and relaxing with a nice beer with friends stance. That's supposed to be a bit of a joke, right? So why would we use any stance that doesn't help our fighting, right? So let's just examine what the meaning of fighting stance is. So a lot of places, maybe you would train where you're in this kind of a stance here where it's a challenge to be in the stance. And maybe that tries to build up some strength or some purpose like that. I didn't do a whole lot of that when I was training, although I did visit some dojos that did. Usually we would want to use stances that allowed for some easier movement, right? And then maybe you did some drills where you would work the line and do some movement like this, and that's a little bit more natural. So when you're standing in a static stance and trying to work some things, the point is to isolate your arms, to isolate your tongue, then to isolate your hips, to try to work on what it is that you can learn by reducing the variables. In reality, you would want to use some movement to help what it is that you're doing, okay? In places where you would tend to do this, you would do a number of repetitions, maybe you do a number of repetitions like this, right? And then they'd say, okay, take a fighting stance, and then maybe do some techniques that works a little bit easier for movement. The idea then is not that this is a fighting stance, but this is a stance from which it is easy to launch an attack. When you have sparring and the distance between you and your opponent is such that you need to enter and make an attack, then being deeply rooted and trying to attack through here is difficult. Some systems train quite a lot at that, and they get very good at it. And there's some reasons why they might want to do that, right? Now with an elongated stance, if the distance at which the fight takes place is sporting distance, then that means I need to try to cover this distance quickly in order to make my point. I don't think that that's really self-defense distance though. Self-defense distance happens at about an arm length, and if I want to disengage, I can't because they're too close. The sporting distance is at a distance that if I wanted to disengage, I could. So somewhat artificial circumstances have led to different stances being used. So with that, I think we can understand that there's some divergence in thinking about you should be able to move naturally and react to the situation. So why then do we find these kinds of stances, Zenkutsu Dachi, right? Why do we find Kokutsu Dachi? Why do we have a Neko Ashi Dachi? Why do we have a Shiko Dachi or a Kiba Dachi? These different stances. And the answer is they actually do things for us, right? And the things that they do for us, we should find utility from and use in the right situation. To a certain degree, we're talking about a perfect situation. So when I'm talking about doing a perfect stance and doing a perfect Gedan to affect something here or perhaps another purpose where it's really nice to have my weight pushing forward and doing this, then we're training for perfection. Knowing that in a situation there's going to be many, many more variables that we have to work with. So if we have an idea of what right looks like and some variables prevent that, then maybe we can approach goodness and approach something that would give us a mechanical advantage. The other point about stances is a lot of people think about them as something static, and that comes from learning about them through print media well before the age of easy online videos, right? So you would get a book, as we all did as young karateka, that maybe was written by Shoshi Nagamineo sensei, and it had some pictures of people in some stances, and the pictures of course don't move, and you look at this and you analyze it. And then that led to karate classes where students were doing these techniques, and the teachers would come around and say, okay, move this here, move this there, pull this back, do this, making all of these corrections to what is basically a static moment in time. that's not worthless. There's a point to that. So through this point in which I move and then go on to do something else, if I'm wrong at this point and it doesn't get corrected, then I don't learn to move through that correct point. And if we stop motion and do the corrections, then we can at least learn what that point looks like and have some opportunity to move into and out of that in a correct way. And what I mean by correct is, it does things for us. So I've got a bow here, and I'd like to talk about our basic number 8. We have a set of 13 basics in our system. And number 8 is really good for discussing stances because it starts from a Kokutsudachi and then it moves into a Zenkutsudachi. So I push my back hip forward and I balance that forward motion with a pulling of the front hand and I maintain my balance. So the equilibrium forward and back is maintained. What this pulling hand coming back, balanced by this coming forward, does is it creates an upward strike. So this is a age this way. From there, I then use this hand pulling back, going into a Kokutsudachi to do a Kaisuyuchi, a returning one. From there, I then come into a Neko-Ashidachi. So Age-uchi, Kaisuyuchi, and then Neko-Ashidachi. When I come into the Neko-Ashidachi, I'm pulling this hip back. So I've come here, I'm there, I'm turning this half of my body around, which creates equilibrium for the strike that comes to the side. So I'm in the Kokutsudachi, I come around, and then I drive forward, and I come into my Shikodachi. What the Shikodachi does is it pins this here, and I'm able to pull down. So the intent is to take this edge and break through a person. I'm not hitting with the flat surface. If I was hitting with the flat surface, there's faster ways to do it, shorter strokes, easier to control the distance. My intent is to come and pull through. That's a perfect situation. If I can get the best cut that I can on someone, then this is a good situation to be. In reality, I don't know what's going to happen, right? So, like I said earlier, if I train for that image of what right looks like, then I can adjust it for various other variables, right? Also, if I'm training against some just image of somebody that is wearing a dogi like me, then maybe this kind of a hit to their clavicle is fine. What if they have armor? I think a lot of these techniques came from a position where we're trying to maximize what's going on, rather than, this is good enough. If I'm hitting somebody who's bare chested or just wearing cloth, then I have some other options to try to do the attack. Or if my attack is going against bare knuckles as opposed to something that might be covered, then I don't need to maximize my power. So I think that by training in a way that helps you understand maximizing power and what the stance does to transfer and shift the weight and how that works mechanically through the weapon, I think that has value. And I think from that foundation, you can then take a look at different variables and have a good reaction. So just to finish out the thought, I'll do a basic number 8 on the front and from the side. So Age-uchi, Kaisuyuchi, Shomen-uchi, Shomen-uchi. So from here, Age, Kaisi, Yaku, Shomen. Now the beauty of this is because I maintain my equilibrium, if I drive from the waist down, I can move fairly quickly. And that's something that my stance enables me to do in that situation, which is another purpose of using the stances for this particular technique. Thanks for the attention. I hope you like it. I try to put this kind of content up at least once or twice a week. Come on back and see us next time.